Have you ever wondered how far the mind can take or limit an elite athlete? And how does the past, full of challenges, trauma, and overcoming, shape the victories and defeats on the court? These questions are crucial, and today we will answer them with real, intense, and moving stories of the world tennis circuit. The answer is clear. The mind is as determining as talent, and often even more powerful. And the past? It not only shapes but determines the future of these athletes, either by leading them to glory or dragging them to painful falls. We started with the recent drama that unfolded in the traditional courts of Roland Garros. The former #1 in the world, Naomi Osaka, once again found himself out of the dispute early in the tournament, repeating a pattern that, unfortunately, has been marking his trajectory in the French clay. The Japanese, which accumulates 4 Grand Slam titles on other surfaces, has never been able to break the third-round barrier in Paris. And this time, again, his walk was interrupted early in the first round, in front of the Spanish Paula Badosa. Naomi even sketched resistance, forcing the departure to 3 sets, but the number of unprecedented errors was alarming, 54 in all, more than double made by his opponent. The final score, 7-6-1, 1-6, and 4-6, reflected an intense battle, but also a vulnerable Osaka, not only in the technical aspect, but especially in the emotional. During the press conference after the defeat, the scene went from the heart, the athlete on the edge of tears, struggling to express her frustration. "I hate to disappoint people," he confessed, in one of the most sincere and human moments of all his recent trajectory. This episode inevitably connects to 2021, when Osaka starred in one of the biggest discussions about mental health in the sport, as he retired from the same tournament, claiming that he did not want to participate in the press conferences to protect his emotional health. At the time, he revealed to the world that he had been fighting a depression for almost 3 years. It was a milestone, not just for his career, but for the very debate about the welfare of elite athletes. In this 2025 edition, the difficulties were not just emotional. Physically, Naomi was also shaken. She suffered bubbles on her fingers, a problem that pursued her from Rome in early May. She explained, "I have blisters in my hands. I think it's because of the friction of the clay, because I have no bubbles on any other surface." During the match, he even needed a medical time to bandage his fingers. But even so, he continued to fight to the end, until the physical and mental forces were running out. The most symbolic moment happened during the press conference, when, visibly upset, Naomi left the room, interrupting the interview. Minutes later, he returned to answer 2 more questions. When asked how this defeat could make her stronger, she responded with a cutting frankness. "I hope you can tell me that. I think, but I'm not sure." A raw and real portrait of a champion who, despite all the achievements, continues to wage a silent battle, far from the spotlight, but manifests himself with each withdrawal, with each mistake, and with each victory. And if we talk about silent battles, we need to revisit one of the most impactful and inspiring tennis stories, Mariana Lucic-Baroni's. A true block phoenix, which resurfaced after a long hiatus and thrilled the sport world with its triumphant return. Lucic-Baroni emerged in the 1990s as one of the biggest promises of Croatian tennis. Her trajectory seemed to glory from an early age. At the age of 4, she was already working hard next to her sister, driven by a passion that once led her to hide in her sister's car to participate in a tennis session. At just 15 years old, he won his first professional title, beating the WTA of Bol in Croatia right in her debut. She then reached the final in Strasbourg, where she lost to the legendary Steffi Graf, 1 feat for a newly professionalized teenager. Before being 15, Mariana had already won 3 Grand Slam titles on the youth circuit, 2 in simple, Australia Open and US Open, and 1 in pairs also in Australia. Very few athletes got this done in history. Its potential seemed unlimited, but as so many times it happens, the backstage hid a story of pain. After 2 brilliant years, the Croatian tennis player saw her life and career collapse. Lucic Baroni revealed that she suffered physical and emotional abuse by her own father, a revelation that shocked the sports world. In addition, it faced serious financial problems that practically made it unfeasible to stay in the professional circuit. Between 2003 and 2007, she played only 2 tournaments, moving away from the spotlight to try to rebuild her life away from the courts. The return, however, was worthy of a cinematic script. In 2010,